Serath for sure. Serath versus Corki in the mid lane might not be the most eventful lane, but later on that Serath can really make things happen. I mean, he's going to get to a point where he can pretty much one-shot a squishy on the enemy team with only his ulti in the later stages. So really looking forward to see what slow Q can do on this Serath.
He's going to be having to throw some fast Qs in these team fights, but we're a long way off that point yet. Welcome back to Summoner's Rift. Riddle on the blue side up against MNM Gaming on the red. Of course, MNM playing off the back of some momentum. Riddle themselves having a good opening to the season, so should be an exciting matchup. Heading, you got any predictions for this one?
It's pretty hard to predict. I have to agree with the analyst desk in the sense that these are two very similar comps. We've got a heavily poking bot and mid laner for both of these teams. Both of them also have a pretty strong fighter in the top lane, an aggressive early game fighting jungler, and then so the support is really like the only position where you're sort of looking at something different here for MNM. I think the comp that I like slightly more is on the side of MNM, and the fact that they have a bit more tankiness, they have a bit more from a front line with the Leonas and Sao, who can actually tank a decent amount. Speaking of tanking, here's the flash from Nukes.
Nukes gets a little bit of damage. Mishigu going to be able to dodge away from the Q from the Lee Sin. The burn runs low, but Mishigu runs out. It does mean that Riddle are going to be able to get the early invade onto this blue buff with the help of Fadikan and Nukes. But no one dying just yet. However, flash down on the Karma. Does that make things a little bit easier for Canna potentially ganking?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this Nuke is going to have a target on his top of his head right now. Canna's going to be looking for this Karma without the flash. That's going to be pretty hard to play, especially into a Leona. I mean, if the jungler is close, Leona can just flash Q, and then the Karma can't really do anything. There's also to note that there's no heal on the side of Riddle because Fadikan decided to go for the cleanse instead, so don't even have that to help his support to get out of that position. Smartly enough, though, MC is going to steal away the enemy blue buff and split the map, which does give his bottom lane a lot of security, because now they know that Canna is on the top side of the map, thus he cannot be bottom lane to gank. So MC is giving his bottom lane a decent amount of security here with splitting the map early, so that's definitely a good thing for them.
Yeah, Canna quick to reaction is up on that top side, just stealing away camps and making things even in terms of farm. But as you said, not going to be able to abuse Nukes not having a flash initially-ish. And it should also be said that Mishigu also does not have heal on this. Ziggs has gone for the teleport to get himself around the map a little bit more. Canna setting up a dive with a beast on the top side, though. I don't know if they really want this one, though. Nice dodge away from Kex. Damage coming through. The root down from Canna, who flashes forward. Doesn't have the dash, though. And it's just going to be Summoner for Summoner as the Crocodile survives.
Does miss a decent amount of CS, well, like picks up the XP from most of them, so it's not that bad. Does miss a few CS here. That does mean that MC can get the crab here, though, so it's actually 2 camps ahead right here, and also has a decent amount of camps in his own jungle, as well as the bottom crab, while you can see Canna only having 2 camps in his side of the jungle. So Canna sacrificed a bit of his own farming and his own strength right there to help his top lane get a small lead.
Beast off to the Honest Graves is going to want to have a lead, cause the pressure to the Renekton early and make sure that his life is a little bit difficult. In the bot side, Riddle continuing just to throw down a little bit of poke, and poke is really the name of the game for both teams. I Trouble touched on the desk when you've got the likes of Ezreal, Xerath, Corki, Ziggs. You're going to be just able to throw so much hurt if you're in a stationary position, and in laning phase, it'll likely be pretty difficult for either team to go for that all-in. MC there, double scuttling, and is really taking the jungle matchup, at least in the early stages.
Yeah, for sure. He's going to be 3 camps ahead here once he picks up the red buff. And there's also no camps for Canna. Oh, actually, the wolves spawn just as I say that. But there's going to be a time where there's no camps. Canna's probably going to recall after picking up these. But this is a decent lead for MC. And I'm not sure how much Babista actually got of that in the top lane. Sure, their Renekton has no flash. And yeah, he missed a couple of CS. So with the positioning of the wave, I think Babista is like a few CS ahead. But overall, that was probably a pretty decent set of plays there for Riddle. Canna now walking over a ward here, does spot it out with a sweeper though.
Going to be able to just clear that one away, and the Gromp did spawn while he walked past it, so there is a camp available for him if he moves directly back into the jungle, as it looks like he's going to do. But Scrappy early game from these two teams, nothing going down in terms of kills, however, and it's just a case of farming up in this mid lane matchup. Two pokey champions in the Corki and the Xerath, and it looks like things are going the way of slowq right now, with the health bar being a little bit higher as he recalls and having a couple more farm to his name as well.
It's really cool to see the Xerath, actually. It's been a while since I've seen it in competitive. Sort of a solo queue favorite for a lot of people going at it there. Can be a bit difficult if you get engaged on, so a Leon ulti into a Xin engage or something along those lines could be difficult for slowq to deal with, but other than that, I think he's going to be putting out a lot of damage, and he's probably going to do it earlier than Royal Cannon. When we talk about the Corki, it's really 3 items when his insane poke really gets unlocked, but earlier than that, I think slowq is going to get rolling. Speaking of rolling, here to dive.
Oh. Go for the dive. Dominus has been popped, but it's a 2v2 under Tara's. Canna's here as well. First blood going over to MNM, and they might be able to pick up MC as well. Canna looking to chase him down and spear him through. And just like that, it's a double kill once again. The jungler from MNM is taken off.
Disastrous mistake there from MC, missing the leasing queue. Actually just went straight into the air there. Means that they did not even kill Bobista. I think if he hits the queue, he kills Bobista, and he probably gets out as well. So individual mistakes there turns it from a probable 1-for-1 into a 2-for-0. And now MNM is really strong, looking really good here. So let's watch this fight once more. Oh, our observers are smurfing here as usual. Look at the leasing queue here. He flash queues and then misses. That is painful for MC. Also have to mention that they had no idea that Kana was there. Lee Sin just took a pretty big risk jumping forward there instead of watching where the enemy jungler was. Royal Cannon forcing the flash mid. Might be vulnerable here though.
Oh, MC not going to be able to land the Q again because of the flash, but the damage comes in this time around, and it's MC picking up Riddle's first kill as he takes down Corki.
Very confident play there for Royal Cannon, Valkyring forward. And those last couple of kills that we saw there from both teams are pretty much both came down to not respecting the enemy jungler. MC went for the top dive without knowing where Canna was, and then Royal Cannon Valkyried forward without having any idea where the Lee Sin were. So yes, you burn the flash on Xerath, but you also have to flash yourself, and you die when there's no TP. Actually does not miss too much on the wave, so he's going to be fine there, Royal Cannon, but still not the greatest.
No, not the perfect play, of course, going down, but trying to get back into this one, scrapping it out, and not allowing slowq too much time to breathe, because had there not been the jungler there, would have been a very different story with slowq having to burn his flash to survive the 1v1. But as the Rift Herald spawns onto the Rift, of course, as we talked about a lot recently, how the stats have been changing. So we're talking about 8 gold at 8 minutes and gold at 14 minutes. So let's do just that. It's dead even right now as MC moves towards the Rift Herald. But is there a team that you'd be more happy to be at this stage?
It's a difficult question. I think there are, while the teams are pretty similar, I think they have some different power spikes where MNM, they're getting engaged on here.
Yeah, Canna needs to be careful. Takes a lot of damage. MC could go for the assassination. The ultimate has been thrown up just to give Canna a little bit of defense against that poke, and it looks like it's going to be okay, but Cannon has package, as you say, going towards MC, who gets stunned up. The damage comes through, is huge. Who's going to be able to grab it? I think MC did manage to get the Rift Herald, but will go down. The eye is still on the table, and Riddle have been chased away. Fanacan goes low, hiding behind Blue Buff. Nukes is there with the shield. Nasty picks on the kill on to the Corki. Dr. Chaos diving on through, but has no support now. Nukes moving forward with the tether to make sure that she's rooted in place. Dr. Chaos is going to stumble away as the eye sits forlorn. No one picks it up, and the objective goes wanting.
Riddle actually won a 4v5 right there. Kex was in the bottom lane without TP and through all that time, and he's just been pushing solo here. 20 CS ahead, got I think 2 plates during that time, so Riddle not losing the fight is great for them. So we do see that they burst down Kana here. MC could go for the 1-for-1 there if he wanted to take the Q. Probably a good choice not to take it though, instead securing the Herald. You can see here Renekton is just charging away at the bottom lane at this moment. So also we should look at Royal Cannon here. Dodges away from some of the Xerath Qs, but I think he actually dies to the blue buff. At least partly there, the damage from the blue buff melee auto-attacking. Bobista gets chased down.
He's in trouble, but does manage to survive with support coming on through. The Xerath ultimate isn't going to land down, but Bobista gets sniped out as Kex is the new target. Looks like he's going to try and get towards the wall, but can't get over it. and will be taken out. It's a trade 1-for-1 at the end of play.
Yeah, it does show how strong the Renekton is at this point in the game, and that's what I started to talk about earlier, that the teams have some different power spikes there, with the Renekton being very strong right now, while Graves really wants to farm up before he can win that 1v1 convincingly and be strong in the team fights. While in the mid lane, Riddle also has a bit of a faster spike there, with Seraph going to be having more damage on like one item compared to the Corki. Also noteworthy, speaking of the items here, is to see that Corki is not going to be going for this Rocket Man build that I like to call it, that just focuses on dealing all the damage with the rockets, like a Luden Sekko, a Ravenous Hydra, a Manamune, because he does have the Noon Quiver in his inventory. Not sure if that's going to be going towards a quick Immortal Shield Bow. I guess that is it, because he does not want to get bursted down, but still an interesting adaptation, going more for the auto attacks rather than the poking.
Okay, the top side, Corki, Royal Cannon hanging around with Riddle's bot lane, who are looking to shove in and get some damage down potentially onto these plates before they slough off in a couple of minutes' time. But things have been pretty action heavy so far in this game, which is always nice to see. Neither of these teams holding back too much, even with the compositions that like to scale and poke rather than necessarily going all in. Well, with a number of people on each team that want to be scaling up, but it looks like there's just going to be a little bit of a break as MNM move members to the top side just to defend this tower against the increasing Riddle numbers. Not going to be able to find anything too exciting as Nuke spots out Dr. Chaos, and everyone's just going to return to farming away quietly.
So as we take a look at the top bar right here, you can see 7-1, and that is the tower plates. That is an important stat to be looking at right here, because that is pretty much the entire goal difference. Riddle actually 1 kill behind, but I think that's 1.5k gold ahead, just coming from the plates pretty much. There's some CS there as well, being about 25 CS ahead in the mid lane, and I think that's about 15 in the bottom lane. But still, those plates, that just goes to show that Riddle they're strong players with strong laning phase, and they also know how to rotate properly early on and get those tower plates. So well done by Riddle.
It's been good for them so far, even if the fights haven't necessarily been optimal, and there's still a couple of minutes to grab away some extra gold as well. You can see Kex on the bot side, but has been matched by the MNM bot lane. Riddle's bot lane in the top side trying to grab a couple of plates as well, but Renekton needs to be careful. He's pretty strong, but 2v1 doesn't feel super confident. Canna's going to make it super unfair if he turns up, and MC is there for support, but the Dominus has been popped. He's going in onto the Ziggs to try and get some damage. He actually gets the kill, but will be chased down and removed. It's a trade 1-for-1, but when that was a 1v3, that seems pretty good.
Yeah, that just goes to show how strong Renekton is at this point. We've even been picking up the lethality. This is going to be a Prowler's Claw Renekton, not something we see every day. But Kex just goes to show you how confident he is on this Crocodile. Even though he's 0-3, he just wants to keep going in and dealing that damage. So love to see that. Also, I think this benefits Riddle, having these lane assignments where the top laners are alone fighting against two players, because the Renekton is a lot harder to dive than the Graves. Even though you can do it if you bring 3 people like that, you were punished, MNM.
Yeah, it's a case of, yes, you got the kill, but at what cost? And when you're having to put multiple members into a Renekton and he's still able to take someone down, that's not going to show off super well for you, as MC sneaks in, grabs the skull, and sneaks back out again under the nose of Canna and Dr. Chaos. And with Nukes in support, MC might be feeling his opportunity here. A dive could be in the offing, but enough vision being placed deep by MNM should dissuade any kind of action for now. And at the 14-minute mark, it looks like gold is going to just stand at about 1,500 to the good for Riddle, which, as you say, is a lot on those plates, a lot on those extra bits of gold that have been taken in a macro sense, as Kex once again dodging away from a potential engage.
On Monday, I mentioned Corki probably being the strongest champion in the game. I still probably, yeah, I'm going to say that I stand by that still. I think Corki is an extremely strong champion at the moment, but when some things that pick is that popular, you have the opportunity to prepare something against it. And Slowq, having prepared the Seraph for the Corki matchup with the counterpick, it's working out so well. 160 CS before 15 minutes. I mean, he's going to be 40 CS ahead of this Corki. He's one-shotting the waves already. This is going to be a very scary Xerath to deal with, especially for an immobile Ziggs. This Xerath raining down abilities is going to be... I mean, Ziggs is going to get out-poked. That's not something you see every day.
I mean, that Xerath is the gold lead, you can see already, because you look at Cannon 900 up on his lane opponent, things top looking very, very even as a little bit of a scrap in mid lane comes to nothing. But the Xerath 1,500 gold up. And a good lead for Fatty Cannon the bot side as well. It's pretty gross, and Slowq's going to be able to keep throwing those out, keep poking away, and just like that, dissuading Royal Cannon from making any kind of play with a package, because he dives in on half health and he dies. The Dragon's going to be maybe the port of call as it spawns onto the Rift, a late second spawner of the Infernal, and it looks like MNM are going to want to try and grab this one and pick themselves up their second of the game, but Riddle are looking pretty comfortable so far in this game.
Riddle giving this up. I'm not sure if they had to do that. They're gonna be prioritizing the Rift Herald instead, so I'm not sure about that play from Riddle. Actually, I think they could have gone for the fight there. They have Prowler's Claw Renekton. He's going to be really strong at this point in the game. They do want to keep scaling, which I also understand, but giving up a second dragon could perhaps come to punish them later on.
If they can't close out this game or start taking more of a vice grip on it, then absolutely. It's going to be an Ocean Soul coming through, so MNM going to be able to grab that one and cause some real problems in team fights where there are pretty fine margins across the board, especially with so much poke being thrown back and forth. If they're the ones getting that regeneration, then things are going to be much better for them. That being said, second Rift Herald, we'll have to see what can be procured with that, because remember, the first one didn't actually get picked up, so there was no advantage gained when Riddle secured it. But this time around, the eye is safely in the pocket of MC.
I think you made a great point there, Viperoon. We talked about these two comps really being heavy on the poke. Corki Ziggs versus Ezreal Xerath. And in that situation, that's when Ocean Soul is really strong. You're trying to poke down each other, getting these long fights where just chunking down your enemy's HP one ability by one ability, and then having Ocean Soul is going to be huge. So I think MNM, I do like their position, perhaps even slightly more, just because they have the two dragons and they're going to be closer to that Ocean Soul, because that's a huge threat that Riddle will have to deal with later on.
Riddle have threats of their own, though. It should be said, and you mentioned Slowq already. Kex has been, although his score doesn't really show it right now, has been looking pretty strong actually to dive in onto the MC. Needs to be careful, going to be able to dash away. Canna should be able to walk away, take some poke on the way out, but take some poke on the way out is just going to be a, let's just assume I'm going to say that at the end of every sentence, because of the two compositions that have been drafted. It does allow Royal Cannon to grab the tower in the top side. And MNM have started to grab some of these objectives that are necessarily being slowly whittled away by Riddle, but while they had more of the plate gold, aren't able to get anything going. But here comes the fight as Mabista is going to be diving on through, forcing Slowly to flash, and he will follow. MC is there trying to secure some CCs. Chaos can't do so either, and Mabista gets the kill, gets the shutdown. Now MNM not going to get anything further, but one shutdown, one big kill could be enough to grab this mid tower.
Well played by Mabista, gets rewarded with a 700 gold shutdown, and they are even going to be continuing with the siege of this tower. MNM now having taken down the gold lead, so they're pretty much neck and neck in terms of gold here. Does Kex wants to go for anything? Does not look like it. So MNM, I think they were slightly behind, but with that pick from Mabista, this game is neck and neck in terms of gold, and with them being two dragons ahead, I think I'm starting to like MNM's position a bit more.
They're starting to look like they're in a nicer position than we necessarily expected. Remember, those two dragons can come into play later on when it becomes that Ocean Soul, or the potential to grab that Ocean Soul. Of course, they're about 6 minutes away from that one if they're able to take the next two dragons. Riddle needs to be a little bit careful. They haven't really been able to take down any towers, so the territory on the map is slowly dwindling for them, and that just goes to show how much of a resurgence MNM have had in the past few minutes, because we were talking at 14 about how positioning looked great for Riddle. They've got so much more gold from those plates, but now they haven't been able to take down a single tower in its entirety, and these low health bars are good and all, but they don't give anything. They don't give territory, they don't give money until they're fully secured. Two members of MNM in the mid lane defending. should be able to crack that one open with multiple members of Riddle committed, but things have started to slow down a little bit for blue side, and they might want to try and get something going again.
Oh, Mishigu!
He's dodging. He's only got small legs, but he will be able to survive. Dr. Chaos takes a lot of damage as well, so they're going to be forced to back away Riddle, causing the poke, but members of MNM are coming in to replace their injured comrades, Cannon and Cannon. The 2Ks moving on through to defend the mid lane. Mabista has shown up as well. And it looks like they'll be able to stop Riddle from going for anything just yet, but with Dragon up in 25, I think that's going to be the next battleground.
This is going to be a fight for sure. The third dragon, absolutely certain that Riddle does not want to give this over for free to MNM, and the same can be said for MNM. They don't want to give it to Riddle, so they're going to be fighting this. There is a package on the Corki, and it's all going to come down to the poke. How much damage are they going to be able to deal before the fight starts? And both of the teams have been taking a chunk here from the poke.
Cannon in the backline, though. Look at him. He's got the package. He breaks up the fight. And so much damage coming in from MNM. Nukes is going to get deleted. He goes golden, but I don't know if he survives from one more skill shot. But actually, he's going to be able to walk away with the shield. MNM grab one. They grab a second on the side as Mabista chases down Kex. And just like that, MNM will set themselves up for Soul Point if they can grab this dragon. But that was all about them in the fight.
Wow, MNM are playing so well right now. They're executing these fights beautifully. Mishigu starting it out with the Mega Inferno Bomb, chunking down the backline, and then Royal Cannon teleporting behind with the package. I mean, MNM, you just have to give it to them. They are playing like a top contender in this league right now, and that's not something I think we expected to say going into this season.
Not something that we expected, not something that I think anyone expected. Looking at power rankings before we came in and talking to the other talent and a couple of people around the scene who were saying MNM are not looking as strong. Their roster looks okay, but it's probably not going to pull up any trees. But hey, they come up against the strongest talent, they grab the win, they're up against Riddle, and they're in a decent position in the game. That being said, it's not a dominant league just yet. They've got themselves Soul Point, they've got themselves 3 towers to 0, and the last fight looked good. But Riddle still have a lot of very strong members. The Zareth still has a lot of gold in pocket from all of the farm. You've still got the Ezreal Fadikan, who's going to be able to put out a ton of damage, and they've got a lot of standing gold, which is fairly low. And I know that I said that towers don't mean anything until they're taken down, but if Riddle could knock down a couple of these, then gold-wise, they're going to be right back in it.
Yeah, and the lead is very small in terms of gold for MNM right now, but Bista gets chunked down, does have a ton of life still, though, you have to remember, with both the Immortal Shield Bow and the Bloodthirster. He's going to get dove here, though.
Yeah, MC just showing his face. The collateral damage onto Kex will force Renekton back. Poke coming through from the mid lane, and Mishigu just going to sit on a satchel charge just to make sure that he can get the dash off and will be able to dodge away from those last 2 barrages. Excellent play from the bot laner from MNM, who's someone who actually has been playing very, very well this week in its entirety. He's a little bit of far behind the Ezreal, but you've got to say that he's been immaculate with positioning so far this game, which is, I don't know if it's something we can say about last game. He was pretty melee for a Ziggs, but he didn't die that much, so, I mean, good, I guess?
I think he sort of did what you can expect from a Ziggs. Like, he had the big ults in the team fight, and then before that, in the early game, you're just controlling the waves really well. It's really hard to push into it, which is what we can see here on the minimap with all the towers still standing. Part of the reason is that Ziggs is so difficult to push into. You can also see Babista here on the side lane with almost 3 completed items. This is the point where he will start to win this 1v1. Renekton starts to scale off with this full lethality build, and Babista's actually really tanked with the fleet footwork with overheal and 2 lifesteal items. Might even be tanky enough to go for the dive here together with his team.
Yeah, but Cat's going to be able to dodge away from the CC, so doesn't lose out on too much. Actually, Dr. Chaos using that ultimate does take away a pretty big tool from MNM for the next minute or so, which allows Riddle to move back through, try and take back a bit of their jungle and chase away MNM from their bot tower. So keep your eyes peeled. 2 minutes time, though. That dragon is going to spawn up and needs to be fought over by these teams. A little bit less so from MNM, of course. They're the ones playing for Soul and with nothing given up yet, but the overextension from KX could be very problematic for him. He's going to get caught out and taken down, and I know that we were saying that his KDA earlier wasn't necessarily indicative of his performance as Raw Cannon gets caught up and might go the same way as the damage comes through. The Arcane Barrage secures the kill. But yeah, I'm worried about Kex further and further as we move on to this game.
Yeah, he's really starting to not been able to utilize this full damage Renekton build well so far in the game, and it's not going to get easier. I think you might have build actually might be a mistake now that you're far behind. It's so difficult to actually be useful in these team fights versus a poke comp like this with a Ziggs and a Corki. You might just have wanted a Crocodile that's really big and fat and can stand in front of your carries tanking it up, but Kex is not tanking a lot at this point in the game.
Well, I mean, he's taking a lot of skill shots. It's just they're killing him.
He's dying.
And he's on his own, so he's not really defending anyone. But, you know, he is tanking damage, kind of. I suppose the question really is, what is he going to look to do in these team fights? Because if he can get a flank off and potentially get an assassination on someone like Mishigu, if he can catch him out, then perhaps the build will start paying off. But right now, he's just in the side lane getting 2v1'd, 1v1'd, and it's a lot harder for him to have an impact. Now, 20 seconds on this dragon. You can see MNM have the run of the river. Teleport coming in upstream, though. What can Kex do? He's in the fray now, and it will be a pitched 5v5 to take this fight. Remember, package is available once again from Raw Cannon. The poke is flying thick and fast as the engage comes on through from Cannon. Won't be able to catch up too much, though, and has to ult to keep himself alive. A lot of poke is going to miss onto him because of that one, as MNM, they're happy with what's being bursted. They're going to move down river and try and start up this dragon. Of course, Cannon is their jungler, and he's cut off a little bit. Raw Cannon has gone pretty low, gets a shield, but needs to be careful. Has the package available, wants to get the dragon down as much as he can, and will be able to secure it for his team. All 5 members still alive, just about.
Can they get out?
The Ocean Soul, and they will get out. It's all 5 members of MNM going to be recalling, as Riddle might
Baron, though.
move towards the Baron, yeah.
Yeah, Riddle's going to look for this Baron, and that is absolutely huge for MNM, being able to secure a very early Ocean Drake versus a poke comp. That is big, but if Riddle can respond with a Baron, it's probably even a good trade for Riddle. So will MNM be able to stop this? They have gone back with a lot of members. They are lacking key ultimates, though. There's only the Leona ulti, but they will force Riddle to run away. So when the dust settles, you have to call that a huge win for MNM, getting away with the Ocean Soul and not losing anything for it.
Absolutely sensational play from MNM, and now they're the ones moving towards the Baron. Don't know if they're going to start this one up, but they're just going to clear out vision, show that they've got control of the area, and will actually make the first attacks onto it. MC cancels his recall, though, as Riddle move members towards it. It's going to be the same issue, but reversed. Higher health bars, but a nice chunk coming off of the Ziggs. A nice chunk off the Xin Zhao as they're looking to turn the fight. Riddle is split up, and MNM are together. But it looks like they're not going to be able to catch anyone out just yet, moving away from Baron. But won't be able to take down Riddle, who just fade back to their side of the map.
It is pretty hard for both of these teams to do Baron, because while they have a lot of damage, both of them, they can like chew through the Baron HP kind of quickly. It's really hard to do against these poke comps. Like if you're grouping up against the pit and you get hit by Seraph and Ezreal, like Ezreal and Seraph ulti, or a Seraph Q on one hand and Corki Rockets with Ziggs bombs on the other hand, I mean, it's a difficult position to do, so these teams have to be pretty dang careful around this Baron.
It's just the lack of magic resist, really. It's the case of Baron saying, it'd be funny if I took something of magic resist, wouldn't it, friends? And then both teams being like, not really, because we'll just die. One big Zigzag when you've been tagging Baron for like 4 seconds. That's a one-shot, almost, and Fanakan might need one-shot himself, takes a decent amount of damage as he gets engaged on Dr. Chaos, moving on forward. Can they get the fight in the pit? Yes, they can. Cannon moving forward, but they've only got one so far. Mishigu gets sniped out, and it's the Kings of Poke once again as both marksmen are felled. MNM feel confident to start up the Baron, though.
Whoa!
It's a question of, will Riddle be able to contest?
I mean, you realize you just lost your big damage carry, right? You did kill Farikan, but can you actually fight this 4v4? We're about to find out.
They've got cannons still. The damage is going low, but they're going to peel away from the Baron as MC showed his face, as they're just going to not look for a fight, but peel entirely away towards the mid lane. And once again, it's a case of, I don't know if either of these teams can really do Baron on an even playing field, and no one's been able to grab the advantage just yet.
I'm starting to think about how you're gonna be cracking a situation like this. I mean, yes, if you're MNM, you're sort of. I mean, both teams are sort of happy with scaling. MNM more so with the Ocean Soul in their pocket. But like, how do you do this when Baron is so difficult to take? I think split pushing might be part of the answer. Like, send Graves bot lane, Corki top lane, maybe if you're MNM, and try to make something happen right there. But that's not really what they've been looking for so far. I mean, they've been more focused on going for the big fights and trying to find the engages with Sinzao and Leona, but Riddle have been pretty strong at responding to that as well.
I mean, both of these teams have kind of stalled the game out, which does mean that we need to start talking about Elder Dragon, because that's on the map in less than 2.5 minutes. And yeah, MNM have themselves the sustain. They've got themselves the Ocean Soul, but if Riddle could sneak away the Elder Dragon, that would be huge for some of these pitched 5v5s where people are getting away on half or less health. If Riddle can get one more auto attack, one more big ability onto some of these members, MNM would start popping, and what they need is a big fight in order to take Baron. Either side needs a big fight when to take this Baron, it would appear at the moment. And Elder Dragon is not only going to be an opportunity for another one of these big fights, but also a huge boon for whichever team can take it down.
Elder Dragon is absolutely huge, probably the strongest objective that exists in the game. And I love seeing this situation when the Baron and Elder Dragon are on the map at the same time, because it forces your team to make so many difficult decisions. How do you play around that, those objectives being up at the same time? And it's 1 minute 30 seconds until Elder. Already now you have to prepare the vision, have to take control of these areas, and especially with these poke comps where it's so difficult to walk into an area where you don't have vision, you're going to be tanking all of these skill shots. These teams, I mean, I think the game is pretty much going to be decided within the next minute and a half, because whoever picks up Elder Dragon is going to be so far ahead.
But we'll have to wait and see. A minute's time. You can see Riddle have already started positioning themselves towards that bot side river, want to just poke away and cause as much damage as they possibly can, and getting the snipes down from the Zev ultimate, but they're all being dodged away. Not one of them landing on a priority target means that MNM, a couple of members low, but not too low that they can't stick around. 45 seconds. If you want to recall, do it now. Is going to be the shout as Raw Cannon starts to go back, but Riddle with high health bars are just going to look to try and control the area. Whether it's going to be a trade, whether it's going to be a fight, who can say? But I know that in 30 seconds, it's all going to kick off.
Here we go. There's a package coming in as well.
Oh, Cannon's in there looking for the engage on the Kex, but he's got a little bit of bulk behind him now as Cannon has this package. As you mentioned, not going to be able to pull the trigger on it just yet, though, as MNM poked, but not diminished, and are going to be able to move towards the Dragon hit. 10 seconds till it spawns, though, so there's still a little bit of time for afters before we get involved. And nice engage going on to Nukes. He's the lead. The package goes through the backline. And suddenly Slowq's on his own. He is removed as well. Dr. Chaos moves on forward, finds his way onto MC, who's going to have the kick available, but needs to back away. Kex goes low, but won't be removed just yet as the poke still flies. As Fanagan moving forward, trying to get as much as he can onto MNM's roster, but none of them have felled. And just like that, you can see the regen from Ocean Soul doing its work. They move towards the Elder Dragon, and this could be massive.
Yeah, Ocean Soul people are not giving it enough credit. I mean, it's helping them so much in these fights. Will MC look for the steal here, though?
He looks for it. Won't be able to find it this time around, though. Will be executed by Canna for his troubles. MNM with this objective can start moving towards this Baron. 2 members still on the map for Riddle. And this one, finally, might be taken down.
Yeah, there's not going to be much that Riddle can do here. Maybe a Hail Mary Ezreal ulti could try to steal this away. So look to Fadican to try to go for it here, but it's going to be very difficult without any vision in the pit.
No vision, hasn't even thrown it yet. The Baron goes down. And all 5 members of MNM with Elder Soul. It's going to be a tough road back into this game for Riddle. MNM Gaming grabbed themselves the big 5k gold lead at 34 minutes. Now, the next couple of minutes pivotal. How are they going to be able to close this one out, or at least put their lead beyond all doubt?
Yeah, Ocean Soul, Elder Dragon, Baron, everything stacked up for MNM right now to go for the big siege. Also, just looking real quick at the scoreboard, if I am Riddle right now, I'm very scared of Babista. He's been playing really well on this Graves, and right now he's pretty much full build. I mean, he's got the stopwatch, but other than that, there's 4 big damage dealing as items. That's going to be very hard to deal with, while your Renekton is 2.5 items. Speaking of items, though, with 3 of them on Xerath, he does a lot of damage to Mishigu, who does have the TP to come back into the fight, though.
Yeah, we'll have the opportunity to bundle back in with that teleport, and he's going to do a lot of damage himself, throwing himself into that top side where Canna and Babista are hanging around. Dr. Chaos is threatening a dive. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Cannon is just going to be trying to secure another wave as it moves towards the Riddle base. One more team fight could well be it. But we're going to be running on through. A lot of damage is being thrown as the Cannon minion will start just to poke away. That being said, there's a lot of poke coming through from Riddle, which means that they'll be able to defend pretty handily, at least for the time being. Mid lane tower falls, and now everything outside the base is gone for Riddle. MNM are just going to be creating some damage and forcing some hands. And now we can see the top lane tower is gone. The mid lane tower could be the next focus. The inhibitor is also a target. MC dives on forward, dives on back. MNM break the base at the 35-minute mark, and they're not done yet.
MNM are playing so well right now. It's not easy to push into a Seraph, even when you have the Baron buff minions, but they are doing a very good job of this right now. Playing really well together as a team. Court they're pushing in the mid lane, and then Leona roaming back and forth between top and mid, always threatening the dive, even throwing out the ulti just to make Slowq back away. So they're able to crack 2 inhibitors right now. Now Babista just recalled to finish off his build. He's 6 items right now on this Graves. Just picked up the Guardian Angel and then TP'd back in towards the bottom side. He is so big right now.
And Babista is someone we haven't talked about that much in this game. We might not get too much more opportunity, as it looks like MNM are looking for the close as they throw abilities forward and backwards. Cannon's being engaged on and gets kicked on through, but it's just Dr. Chaos that he gets knocked into. And now the third tower goes down. Inhibitors are being taken left, right, and center. Babista goes low. He needs to try and get some regen up as Mishigu is being sniped. MNM need to be careful as health bars go low, but they want to get this ring gauge while they have the advantage. The inhibitor will be the focus as the start from Kex does absolutely nothing. The base is completely in shambles as MNM lose the Baron buff. They're going to be able to move forward with double-powered waves, though, as MNM could look to close with one big fight. You see the back from Cannon, but he has teleport to return to the fray. Damage is coming on through onto these towers. The MNM that is huddling together, waiting for Corki, waiting for the opportunity to pull the trigger, and with 2 towers to fight under, they do need to be a little bit careful. Package is secured, though, and I think Riddle are in for a heap of trouble when it's pulled. Babista going forward, trying to get some damage, trying to get some poke. Nice ultimate from Ziggs. Will be able to take down some health bars as the first Nexus tower is blown to shreds. MC will go the same way. Collateral damage as Kex moves forward. There's the auto. There's the fight as MNM keep it up. Package comes on through just to make sure that the Nexus is laid bare, and just like that, it explodes. MNM Gaming go undefeated week 2 as they take down Riddle.